Welcome back to another episode of the Fine Food Freedom Podcast. Today, we are getting into a Fuck Diet Culture Friday episode, and we are featuring 75 Hard. Now, I have gotten loads of requests for 75 Hard over the years. I actually don't know how many years 75 Hard has been around for. Gonna have to fact check that one, but I want to always pull a huge disclaimer for any Fuck Diet Culture Friday episode that you do not need to feel guilt or shame if you're currently doing 75 Hard, if you've done 75 Hard in the past, if you want to do 75 Hard. You do you. Like, you have full right to autonomy to do whatever you want, but I am going to share my opinions. This is a friendly reminder that this is for informational and educational purposes only. This is not a substitute for any type of professional support from a registered dietitian or mental health counselor, but I am going to share my opinions on here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what 75 Hard is, why, as a registered dietitian and certified intuitive eating counselor, I do not recommend it. And really, we're just going to call a spade here. I don't think I've covered 75 Hard because I'm like, well, it doesn't really call itself a diet. Like, if you read what the creator puts on their sales page and in the emails and all of the things, it's kind of funny because they don't say it's not a diet, but they're not calling it a diet, but it is, in fact, like very, very diety. So 75 Hard is very popular. It has over 1.6 million hashtags on Instagram. And it says here, this is not a fitness program. 75 Hard is a transformative mental toughness program. Now, I headed over to the Instagram account of the creator, and I was very frightened. His page is very intense for many different reasons. But it wasn't the most welcoming place. But I want to, that's besides the point. I have so many notes written down here that I'm like, where do we start? So first, okay, before I get into my opinions on it, let's talk about like what it actually is. For those of you who maybe have heard of it and you're like, okay, I've heard of it, but I don't really get what it is. Another tagline on their sales page is how to take complete control of your life in only 75 days. I don't even know that I have to say this, but I hope that as a human being, if anyone is telling you that they have a program or a pill or a diet or a fitness program or anything that is going to help you, air quotes, take complete control of your life in X amount of days, hours, months, years, that's bullshit. Like, that's fucking bullshit. So let's just call that out. Okay, so let's get into the rules of the program. So, of course, I put my spam email in and got the email from the creator himself. But I also just did a quick Google search from, a Forbes article that has everything written out here. So first and foremost, right, this is, so he calls it a transformative mental toughness program. And the number one rule is to follow a diet. Okay, so it says, while it can be a diet of your choosing, the diet must be a structured eating plan with the goal of physical improvement. No alcohol or meals outside of your chosen diet are allowed. Red flag, like huge red flags, right? So actually on his sales page, let me see if I can go back here. I have so many things pulled up right now. They also said somewhere how like this is not about physical changes, but then that's so interesting because the number one rule is to follow a diet that will promote air quotes physical improvement, aka intentional weight loss, right? Okay, so that's rule number one. Rule number two is complete 2 45-minute workouts per day. One of those has to be outside. Now, your girl is a certified intuitive eating counselor. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I'm also a registered dietitian who believes that movement can be a tool for joy and to feel physically pleasant in our body. And also movement has a lot of wonderful mental and emotional, benefits as well. But huge but, never, ever, ever would I tell someone that they must complete 2 workouts every single day. Actually, I would never tell someone they have to complete 1 workout a day, because if we want to make peace with movement and enjoy movement and continue to do it and have longevity with our relationship with movement, we cannot have these strict rules around it. So that was just like, whoa, red flag. Number 3, take a progress picture every day. So I think it's so interesting how multiple parts of his sales page say that it is not about physical changes, yet we're telling people that they have to take a picture of their body every single day. Now, I have so many pieces of content on why before and after pictures are so harmful. And so rooted in diet culture, because it is placing emphasis on intentional weight loss and watching our bodies change. So I always like to say a before and after picture is not a before and after picture. It's a before and during picture. And when I looked on Instagram at #75hard, like I said, there's over 1 million people that have used this hashtag. That page that has all the hashtags is filled with before and after pictures or these physique type photos showing intentional body size changes. And I want to be explicitly clear that unless somebody has died, which I would not wish on anybody, that is a before and during picture. After 75 hard ends, right? If you can make it to the end, because please know that there's a disclaimer on all of these rules that if you do not complete every single one of these rules in that day, whether you're on day 2, 15, 27, or 74, you have to start over at day 1. So let's say you do get through 75 hard. What happens on day 76? What happens on day 126? What happens as you continue to come off of this? And that's where these before and after photos, these physique mirror selfie photos where people are flexing their abs and all of this. I'm not here to shame anybody's body, right? But I'm here to tell you that if you are struggling with disordered eating, chronic dieting, or eating disorder, that is not going to benefit you seeing those photos. And I'm here to also plant the seed of that's just a snapshot of that person's body at that moment in their life. 5 years from now, they're going to look drastically different. And they're supposed to, because bodies are meant to change. And life is crazy. And we're not always supposed to be following 75 hard. All right, so let's get back to the rules here, because I'm not done going through them. Another rule every single day that you have to do on 75 hard is drink a gallon of water. Now, your girl, again, registered dietitian, certified personal trainer, certified intuitive eating counselor. I love water. I love hydration. I have a big ass thing of water right here. There is nothing wrong with drinking water. I want to make that explicitly clear. But to just tell people very point blank to drink a gallon of water, we have no idea what their usual water intake is, right? What is their usual hydration status? A lot of clients that I work with, they genuinely want to improve and increase their hydration, but they're barely maybe getting 16 ounces of water in a day. So to go from, let's say, that to drinking a gallon of water a day and doing it every single day for 75 days. And if you don't meet that standard, then you have to go back to day one and feel like this failure because you couldn't do something. Absolute red flag. Would never, ever recommend that. Again, when it comes to water, I'm not against people drinking water. Water is needed by every single cell in your body to do so many different things, for the digestion and absorption of nutrients, for the kind of transportation of nutrients and how your body uses them. There's so many amazing things that water does for us. But again, just blankly telling people you have to drink a gallon of water a day, do not recommend that. And then the last rule a day, read 10 pages of a book. Now, when I look at that rule, I'm like, okay, this is a rule I can get behind. And please know, like, as a certified intuitive eating counselor, I don't believe in rules, because our bodies, our brains, we need different things every single day. And also, life is crazy. If you're going through a season of grief, or, there's a very stressful life event going on or whatever, like, you're not going to be able to get to some things someday and some days, and that's okay. But for this one, I will say, I would love to challenge myself to read 10 pages of a book or listen to 10 minutes of an audiobook every day. Is that realistic for me? Probably not. Is that something that I would like maybe write it down on a sticky note or somewhere where it's like, hey, Sammy, like, let's read. I love to stay curious. I love to learn. I love to grow. I love that kind of idea of always evolving and growing and becoming a better version of yourself. And, so I think education is great. Now, to make it a rule to say if I didn't do it amongst all of these other rules, to then have to start over because I failed, like, no, absolutely not. So again, not something I'm going to get behind necessarily in a 75 hard structure, but I don't think there's anything wrong with reading 10 pages out of a book or listening to 10 minutes of an audiobook. Okay. So I put up a question box on Instagram. I also did a TikTok video asking people, can you share with me any lived experiences? Can you give me, have you done this before, etc. So the number one comment I got across the board, people were saying it felt insane to them that they had to start over if they missed one thing. Because again, if you don't follow your diet, if you don't complete 2 workouts a day, if you don't take a progress photo, if you don't drink a gallon of water a day, and if you don't read 10 pages out of a book every single day, if you miss just one of those things, you're restarting. So that to me is really, really pushing that diet mentality of pass fail, right? Black, white, all or nothing. You're either in or you're out. You're either on the wagon or you're off the wagon. And so the more that we integrate that in, we're not going to be able to do these things every single day, like straight up. So it's so important to recognize, like, that's okay. And so many people were messaging me, like, it was crazy to me that I had to start over again. And it created some really disordered behaviors and habits. Another comment I got from someone was that they did 75 hard multiple times. Now, they didn't specify if they had gotten through the full 75 days or if they had tried it multiple times and didn't get through. But they said that as crazy as it was, and they wrote, it ruined my life. I copy and pasted it here, but it was the push I needed to recognize that I need to stop dieting. So it's like, okay, it's a positive thing, right? It led them to a place of recognizing that dieting doesn't work. And that's what I really want to stress today, that in any Fuck Diet Culture Friday episode, this is not about shaming people that have a diet history. Chances are, if you're listening to the Find Food Freedom podcast or engaging with Find Food Freedom content online, you have a diet history. There's a part of you that is curious of, why do I diet? Is it harming me? Is it helping me? If it's not helping me, how much has it harmed me? And what would life look like if I didn't diet anymore? Is that even possible? What is my purpose? What is my mission as a human being if I'm not dieting anymore? And so I just really want to stress that if you've done 75 hard, if you're currently doing 75 hard, you have permission to not feel guilt and shame, and you have permission to walk away, because you don't have to follow strict rules. You don't have to follow a meal plan. You can live your life however you want and start to adopt intuitive eating principles that make you trust yourself instead of trusting someone else's diet, someone else's meal plan, someone else's rules and regulations telling you what you need to be doing. Okay. So I want to pull up the sales page again, because I need to make sure we cover all of the red flags here. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. So I went to Andy's Instagram page, who is the founder of 75 Hard. And I have so much empathy for this person when I found this post. And I want to read his post, and then I want to unpack it with you together. So this is his post. It's a before and after photo of someone in a larger body on the left and someone in a smaller body on the right. And it's the same person, right? It's like one of those before and after photos. So I'm going to read this, then we're going to unpack it. 2016 on the left side, 330 pounds. 2019 on the right side, 264 pounds. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be embarrassed. I know what it's like to be ashamed. I know what it's like to hate going clothes shopping because nothing fits. And if it does, it looks like shit. I know what it's like to not look at yourself in the mirror for months at a time because you hate what you see. I know what it's like to be embarrassed to buy food because of the way the checker or clerk looks at you. I know what it's like to be the guy with his shirt on at the pool or beach. I know what it's like to wear the same clothes every single day because it's the only one that fits you. I know what it's like to get a seatbelt extender on an airplane. I know what it's like to have zero control of what I ate or drank or how much of it. I know what it's like to feel helpless. I know what it's like to try and accept yourself and love yourself and just not be able to. Trust me, I know, but I know these 4 other things too. So before I go on and read the rest of the post, this brings me a lot of emotions, because when I see posts like this, if somebody reads this and feels uncomfortable in their body and then continues to read on, they might feel like this man has a magic answer that is going to fix them. Now, I don't want to discredit or invalidate any of those things that Andy said in his post, because those are his personal experiences, right? Feeling embarrassed, feeling ashamed, not being able to look at himself in the mirror. But when we dig into the why behind that, right? When it's like, okay, why are those things truth for him? This is where we get into the belief about bodies, right? What does a larger body say about us? What does a smaller body say about us? And so when I read posts like this, it's so clear that there was so much shame in a larger body, because then that question that I have is, well, what do you believe about larger bodies? What weight bias is there? What fat phobia is there? And that is so much of the work of intuitive eating, that diet culture tells us if you just shrink your body, you're going to love your body. If you just get a smaller body, everything's going to be great. And when we see a post like this, we see this top part that I just read of, he's right. I can't love myself. I can't find clothes. I can't do all these things. And don't get me wrong, those are his own personal experiences, but that doesn't mean that it's the truth for you. And so if we continue on, let's continue on and then unpack this further. He says, but I know these things. I know it doesn't have to be this way. I know that it's worth every fucking ounce of pain, sweat, and sacrifice, tears, and mental breakdown I gave and give to get here. You can do it. It's about building your mind first, understanding your body will follow. And then he goes into 75 hard. So first off, the picture that is on this page is just a during photo, right? It's important to recognize that when we're looking at a photo like this with a caption like this, that can be very harmful because we think he did it, he's done it, he's exactly where I want to be. And please recognize this is a during photo. Now, I also want to be explicitly clear that this product is marketed as a mental toughness product, right? And program. To me, when I hear the things that are being said, there are lots of rules that when I look at the rules that he's recommending to people, those are also all things that are on checklists that I look for as disordered behavior or things that would actually classify someone as eating disorder behavior. So that is so, so important to look at. And so what also is really saddening to me is that this program is marketed as not a physical body changing program, but then every single before and after picture is showing a larger body versus a smaller body. So what does that imply? That a larger body is bad, that a smaller body is good. And this is what you will achieve if you do this. It says on his sales page, like complete change of your life. I want to see photos of people 1 week after the challenge, 2 weeks after the challenge, 2 years after the challenge, 5 years after the challenge. This is so important to recognize that there are 0 randomized control trials that show sustained weight loss greater than 2 years for any challenge, for any diet, anything like that on the market. Am I against someone's body changing unintentionally? No. If you are someone who is engaging in eating behaviors that make you feel good, you're engaging in movement that feels good, you're resting your body, you're sleeping well, you're working on your stress management. If your body unintentionally changes, right? You have some kind of body change. As a certified intuitive eating counselor, we don't shame you for your body changing, but we work out of a weight neutral paradigm, which means we're not going to celebrate that weight change, just like we're not going to shame somebody for it. So this, to come back to this post of the 75 hard before and after weight change kind of centerpiece of it all, this entire program is rooted in fat phobia, believing that fat bodies are less than and thinner, smaller bodies are better. You do not have to intentionally lose weight to shift those belief systems, to start to change your behaviors, to engage in behaviors that feel physically, mentally, and emotionally pleasant. Woo! That was a good one. That was a long one. And I have so much empathy for the creator of this program, that his beliefs are so apparent. And maybe someday Andy will recognize that the man that was on the left side of the photo that is in a larger body deserves just as much love, respect, compassion as the man on the right side with the smaller body as well. So if you like this episode, if you have questions about 75 hard, if you have questions about any diet, if you have another diet that you want to see broken down on a future Fuck Diet Culture Friday episode, please send me a DM. Let me know. If you like this episode and want to hear more of the Fuck Diet Culture Friday episodes, please rate and review this episode on Apple Podcasts. leave any comments of what you want to see more of, what you want to hear more of, what questions you have. The more that you do that, the more that we can create episodes that give you what you want. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week.